Well, hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome back to Aquarius Rising Africa. And wherever in the beautiful world you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. The storms have subsided. But wow, what an aftermath to deal with. But very interesting times indeed. So, welcome back. And hello, Lisa D. Welcome back. And I hope you've all had a fantastic weekend, Mama Leona. And we, of course, have in the back room with us Miles, which I'm very happy about, is going to be speaking about his BASES project. But before we do, I want to just go, I don't have a schedule this week. Unfortunately, Mornay also just got back from holiday. So just going to run through it here. 3 o'clock, which is now, it's now 15:11 according to Sappho time, South African time. It's Miles, obviously. Then at 6 o'clock tonight, I've got the recorded show with Simone Anderson from last week, which was supposed to go live on Tuesday, but didn't, so recorded it. So it's going on tonight at 6 o'clock with Simone Anderson. So yeah, catch that. She's the political historian that just unwedges everything. So yeah, catch that tonight. Tomorrow, Tuesday the 26th, is Asia Rain. Yay! Got Asia Rain on the show again. Asia is the, for those of you who've been watching the channel for a long time, Asia is a survivor of the being trafficked by the Mormon Church. So if you haven't, we've recently had her shows actually on rerun. So catch that. Yeah, and she'll be with me live tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. So yeah, join me for that again. Looking forward to that, seeing Asia. Wednesday, Jesse's not back yet, so there'll be a rerun of Jesse as well. And then 6 o'clock, Wednesday night, got Simone Anderson live again. So she'll be on twice this week. Monday, the show from last week, Asia on Tuesday, and then a rerun with Jesse on Wednesday, and then Simone Anderson. And we're going to be talking about Epstein. And Epstein's not the guy. I mean, he's just been given that name, right? But what really does the word Epstein mean? So Simone's amazing with that. So we're going to be deep diving into that as well. And then on Thursday in the field with me, we're doing the protection pattern series. So join me for week 10. Yay, decode your pattern for sure. And then, of course, Friday, drop in with Shanti. Yeah, you guys must catch that because I can't actually remember offhand now, but there's a great documentary that we're going to be watching. It's an hour on Friday with Dropping in with Shanti. Watch the schedule that Mornay will be putting up later, guys, please, if you don't mind. I just forget the name of it now. It's kind of how they've trained us, how they're just amazing when I watched how the system grooms us, basically. Very, very good documentary. And then, of course, Leo Zagami is back on Friday night. And so far, I've got the weekend free. But hey, you never know what could pop up. So watch this space. Nice to see you, everybody. And without any further ado, Miles, Tada, how are you? Nice to see you again.
Well, God damn it, we're as hot as hell here. In other words, the temperature the temperature is above 3 degrees Celsius. Only a few nights ago, in the universe somewhere near here, the overnight temperatures were 3 Celsius because, and that affects a lot of plants and growth and stuff like that. And it was very clear that this was all being engineered. The signatures beforehand, there's more people waking up on this. There's an Irish guy who's starting to talk about things. He doesn't know the right terminology, but he's saying the right things.
Right.
And the other thing was I was meant to be doing a football gig on Saturday and Sunday, and what I do is I still keep my hand. Who knows? It might be my last shift. Who knows? You never know. He said, because I hurt my arm. So it's called lifting a heavy load above head height and then swearing. And if let's get that thing, don't even go there. You see, I can even just almost do that. Yeah. So I have to take all that down and put a thing called the heavy stuff at the bottom and the light at the top. But in order to do that, I've got to put a whole different rack of shelves. So all those light cable looms, data cables and stuff, do not put a knot in a data cable. So it need to be all that stuff. So, but I haven't done that yet because it's been raining continuously here or bloody freezing. And now, the world is coming to an end because God forbid England or Great Britain or the British Isles have had more than one day of heat. Consequently, we're going to have a drought. We're all going to die. So I'm just getting all things. Keep calm and carry on. That's what's happening. Now this is my pronunciator mic. Okay. This is the BASES 2025 Les International avec les Disclosure Conference. No grave accents in a Cedilla in that thing. We're holding the 2026 conference, 19th to 20. It's highly complicated. This. Here's the leaflet. God Almighty. See.
Looks very cool. Looks very nice.
I'm so far away from the camera. Got it. Is. We've got the what do you call it? The QC code or whatever hell it is. And that's 19th, 20th, and 21st of June. Apparently something else happens on the 21st of June. I mean, anybody know what happens on the first 21st?
It's the equinox.
Oh, that old thing.
Yeah. So isn't it for us it's the longest night or something, and you have the longest day or something? I don't know.
3 days of it.
Yeah.
And the point is that due to the gravitational changes and the solar system changes, if you talk to the right astronomer, it doesn't actually happen until mid-July, the 9th of July or something.
Right.
So, but don't all sort of, it doesn't actually happen until, anyway. And last year we had a conference at 2020, BASES 20. We're going to have one in the summer. And we had to cancel that because the darling, we had a friend, lovely lady, who recommended a friend of hers to be our host. So the host was so important, we had to give her an opportunity to speak. So not only was she the host, but we heavily promoted her. And very lovely lady, very lovely. And then just after I had all the leaflets and posters printed, as I literally walked with them in my bare hands, not my cold, I can't even just about do this. Oh, the pain.
Not the warm hand, not your hot hands.
My cold, what's that Charlton Heston thing? You'll only take my gun from my cold, dead hand. Right. So I had all this printed stuff, posters and everything else. And she said, "Oh, I've got a call, I've got a job. I'm an actress and I need to act on that day." And I says, "Fine. You got to take these gigs when you can get them. The fact it's on the day that you're going to be at my conference, and that means all the printing has to be redone. We have to get 2 speakers because obviously she's gone as a host and the slot she was going to talk on, and my dear sweet lovey-dovey who's recommended her. So that shot 12 bore through my arrangements, and I had all the printing, which I just had printed, paid for, and went straight to the nearest bin in the park and dumped it. Because when a thing like that happens, you've got to redo everything, redo all the advertising. It's 5 weeks before the conference, so you don't do that. You just cancel it. So 2026 had then the first main international one, and that was a big deal. I got a lot of people coming, when a lot of people who organize conferences turn up. That's a big deal, and it's then that can filter into their conferences, and all sorts of other things are happening. So the other thing that we concentrate on is try to get it on telly properly, and that's a lot of work.
Is it going to be on television this year?
Yeah, well, that's for the whole point of the BASES things. It's an opportunity to get people to deliver their presentation with a multi-camera shoot, as opposed to, a locked off shoot or somebody's mobile phone in the back of the hall, or whatever the hell it is. The only other people who really did that properly was the Alternative View people by the late Ian R. Crane. And that was run by a very good team of people, and they organized that in a hotel near Milton Keynes. And it was one of these properly organized corporate type things. Ian was a big corporate guy. But we got another delightful lady who I've been speaking to, and she is called Danny Henderson. And she's running her big conference in Eastbourne, and that's in September. So I am next on the runway with the BASES project thing, and that is about 4 weeks from now. And thank God. So what we're doing is we're doing 3 days of the event. And what we've been doing in the past is the conference is Saturday and Sunday, but a lot of people travel and they get there for Friday afternoon. So if I can put on some Friday evening entertainment and get the place rigged in time, sometimes we don't. Last year or a couple of other years, it was so wet, raining, we couldn't ship the equipment, all the stage stuff, all the stuff in cardboard boxes. We couldn't actually put that and get it to the event for about 4 hours until the rain stopped, and that delayed a lot of things. Anyway, the point is that we're going to have a Friday night, a skeptics special. Now, some people call skeptics septics. Yes, Chantel, that was a joke.
I'm listening to you. I'm wondering if this is I heard right.
Ufologists will call skeptics septics because they're just a miserable bunch of people who just pour everything. So anyway, we're going to have 3 people there. Very important. We've got Ben Emblyn Jones, who's one half of the comedy duo that we do on a Sunday morning, which we may not do this year. In other words, it's Ben and my dear friend Colin Wolford have 2 comedy names, which you'll leave for the stage. And they can talk all day, very importantly, about things which are in a very, very important way. It's a bit like talking about the font on speed road signs, and how long that font has been in service since the last change in 1922 or something. They can fascinate you on a Sunday morning. Just the thing you need on a Sunday morning before your brain gets going. Anyway, that's not happening. God, we could talk about what is happening. So Jones is going to talk about something important. And then we have a guy called Mark Pilkington. Now, I've been at the Conway Hall in central London, which hosts a lot of speakers. It's a very establishment type thing, and they put an awful lot of things which question things, but not too much and not too seriously, and definitely not controversially. But they do discuss these things as if it is very controversial. But as I say, we can't have too much of that here. So Mark Pilkington, he wrote the book Mirage Men, and it was an extremely good book that everybody in this sort of world and subject should read, because the details they go into about not saying something when they are saying something, and they then invert that. So what they've said, you don't know whether it's right or wrong. And that's why the Mirage Men
Wow.
produce this illusion of something. But the book was very clever, and a lot of people didn't notice it. You have the word mirage, and then underneath the word is a mirage, is a reflection of the mirage. So which means if it's a reflection or an opposite to the mirage, it could be the truth. And just to make it a little bit more, you know, when you have three rainbows, have you seen three rainbows?
Yes, two. I've seen two.
You haven't been
rainbow.
looking enough. If there's three rainbows, there will be a very dim version, a third rainbow, a third artifact. So the point about the Mirage Men book and subsequent film was that it was a mirage with a mirage, but there's another deeper layer underneath that. And that's a very good way to illustrate the way that things are working.
Yeah.
We are not telling you the truth, but we've told you the truth, but maybe not.
And now it's open to interpretation. Yeah.
Well, that's far too much of a direct comment, and we couldn't possibly comment.
Well, I mean, that would be the intention behind that. So however you interpret it.
No, you're being far too direct in this. We can't possibly comment on these things.
You're asking
You're asking a direct question, and you expect a direct answer. What sort of woman are you?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
The point about that is the film, and of course the film and the book have a couple of characters who are also involved with the crop circle deception psyop. Crop circles to this day remain a psychological operation as to who sees the patterns within the design. And one of our speakers is a fine lady called Selena Stenberg, and she'll be speaking on the Sunday morning. Now, the point about her work is we're talking about complex fifth dimensional mathematics. Okay? And probably several orders above that. She came up with some very complex designs in her art, which she'd effectively channeled that, for want of a better term, and I mean for want of a better term.
Right.
And then when she came to see, I showed her the previous crop circles at the very well put together crop circle exhibition center here in Honey Street in the center of Wiltshire. The people who are into complex algorithms and design and form really need to go to that exhibition center, because they're going to see a lot of very complicated stuff. And remember, you're talking about maybe a fifth order design on a two-dimensional surface, crops. So when they were making these crop circles, had to make sure they were really precise. So Mark Pilkington and another guy called Lundberg and another guy called Rob Alexander, they were part of what they call, I think, they may not have been completely part, but there was one of the design teams, or rather one of the teams that put the crop circles down was Team Satan. You know, the old Team Satan thing. Now this double treble psyop was they were looking for people who could see through the deception and see the complex designs. And this is the point about Selena Stenberg, that she's returning to BASES 2026 because she spoke, and we did a number of talks because of the cancelled conference in the middle of June last year. I held a number of in-studio presentations, and she presented a couple of in-studio in the one I've got here. So she was able to deliver she's written a number of papers on this. This is highly complicated stuff. So she is returning, and she's written more academic papers on this. So this is very complex encoding for gates into interdimensional realms. Okay? Stargates. Right. So the point about that is Mark Pilkington is delivered a paper at the Conway Hall about 3 weeks ago, and he is going to deliver that on a Friday night after Ben Edmund Jones, and then Lucy Wyatt, she's going to deliver a very, very serious paper on why do we hate Russia? Why are we being led in the West to hate Russia? And she has got a very, very insightful history of what we call the Venetian doom cult. This is a very nasty bunch of people, if you want to call them that, thrown out of Rome, which in itself is full of a very nasty bunch of things. And they set up the Venetian in Venice. In other words, Venice was a fly-ridden swamp. And these people came and made it worse. It's known as the city of Venice, otherwise known as the Venetian, as opposed to the Phoenician people. The Phoenicians are completely different, but the Venetians infiltrated all the royal families and controlling families of Europe. Consequently, that's why we have got such a pestilence of subjurating dark evil in the governing structures of Europe. Okay, and that equates it obviously to the United States of America, and why we have the war in Ukraine and Iran. And some people have suggested that the Shah of Iran, the Ayatollah of Iran, actually is an MI5 asset, which means the whole thing that we're going through is part of the British Empire control of the United States and Europe, etc., out of the city of London. And Lucy Wyatt would be probably referencing the city of London. As with the Vatican, they've got nothing to do with the country they purport to be in. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's on Friday night. Just kicking off with a light story. So Lucy was going to be speaking at this monthly meeting that I was going to have here in the Devices Rugby Club, which was a new venue I was testing. And we might be moving our conference to the Devices Rugby Club because it's centre of town. It's there. It's a lot of positive things. It doesn't have a railway station. The main thing about Pusey is it's got major bus routes and rail connections there, but it's got very little accommodation, so it's quite difficult for people to get accommodation. Which means if you're thinking of coming, you need to book now. So on the Saturday,
for the BASES project.
Pardon?
I said book now for the BASES project. I want to just actually see. I want to pop up
you've got to get that on right now because summer is rapidly approaching, and it's the solstice. This was the only slot we had all summer, and there are quite a few other conferences in the summer. So we've got our slot.
I'd like to ask you though: is it? Are you going to be streaming it? Is it only? I mean, from what you're saying, obviously people can go there, they can watch it live.
That's the whole point. We need bums on seats because there's a lot of bills to be paid.
I understand. So
and so this year at Christmas we had 150 quid for the price because we had a whole lot of people coming from the States. We're still hoping to get a number of people from the States, and I'll be letting you know what that is imminently because, quite literally by the time June is happening, we could be in a double dip recession.
Right.
And my TV is going to turn itself off.
Or we could be in total abundance because that's when, if you look at the astrological wheel, that's also when Jupiter moves into Aquarius. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. So there'll be lots of exposure, by the way. at the time. The exposure of good and bad doesn't really discern, does it?
I'm trying to turn the TV from turning on.
What's happening there, Miles?
I've got a stupid TV, but it's got an auto turn off. Right, it's now done. Oh, I don't want that. Yeah, great, brilliant. It's an auto turn off feature on the monitor. God almighty. The thing is, if you have any other bright, I'm off mic. If you have any other bright lights, the little infrared receptor doesn't respond. So anyway, let's get talking. So have I mentioned Maria Wheatley and the long skull secrets of Stonehenge before?
We've spoken about it, yeah.
Well, there's two people here. One is long skulls of South America, Mexico, and stuff like that. Sean Bond has been doing a lot of research. He's part of the American crew, and he'll be coming over with his very delightful partner, Aisha. That's YSSAH. Aisha. Is that right?
Aisha.
And they'll be coming over. Sean has done a lot of work, and he has a large number of what I would call modeled designs of long-skulled people with a lot of artwork on them, with a lot of symbols. And these things, he's got one which is a really big skull. It looks very like the skull you would have seen on Alien. And a lot of these very long-skulled beings have got wings, quite small wings, but they have wings. And this kind of artwork is festooned with an awful lot of very interesting things, and he'll probably be bringing quite a few of those over. I strongly doubt that they are actually physical artifacts from thousands of years ago. There's two reasons for that. If they are physical artifacts, archaeological artifacts, and he's going to stick them in a suitcase and fly over to from the United States, I think you get arrested for doing things like that. I don't know. Smuggling artifacts out of any country or whatever it is. Anyway, we'll see what happens. He will be arriving, and Isa is a very delightful lady, and she's got a whole lot of sort of higher realm dimensional energy stuff to talk about. Maria Wheatley will be on the Saturday morning. She's got a lot of work and things to do subsequently that weekend because it's the 21st. Now, Maria Wheatley's a very good friend of mine, and she's looking very well these days, always has. But the point is that she has written a book called The Secret History of Stonehenge, and we'll be doing a tour on the 23rd, and it involves driving around. There's quite a lot of distance to be covered on that. There are at least 3 long barrows on the Salisbury Plain target range. Now, this is where they shoot big things like 6-inch shells or big things, 8-inch or howitzer type, boom, blow things up. And it's also a military training area. So these long-skulled people have very flat front faces. The front of the faces doesn't have a much relief on it. So if you wanted to get something what they look like, think of E.T., Steven Spielberg's E.T. It has a face not dissimilar to that insofar that it's got a very flat feature, but a very long back skull which extends quite far back over the center of the thing, and it's got a front half and a back half. Okay, and they built Stonehenge, and Maria has got the evidence for that, and she's been to Cambridge University and Oxford University, and the last people who looked at any of these physical skulls in the university was early 1920s. So she's really on her own.
Amazing.
She's an amazing researcher. She's working very hard. She's a very perceptive lady about a lot of things. She's a brilliant dowser, master dowser, and a lot of other things. So she'll be speaking about the long-skulled people in Great Britain or the British Isles who built Stonehenge, and she'll be talking about.
Wow.
And then Sean Bond will be making a reference to the long-skulled people in America, South America, which I think most people would know about. But these long-skulled people are all over the world in places. Aisha will be speaking. And then we have a return of Dr. Amir Jahangiri. Now, he is Irish Iranian, and he's a very high-level doctor in multiple energetic levels. And he has got a very important message to talk about. And then we have Thomas Mikey Jensen. He's my webmaster, and he took a hit with it was a clot, a brain clot, only about 2 or 3 months ago, and he's recovered from that. He's in the land of the living, and he part of his main job that brings in the money, so to speak, is him digging big holes in the ground, and he loves doing that. If you're sitting behind a computer all day long and you're whatever it is, or all evening, the ability to go out and dig up big holes with big boys' toys and diggers and stuff, it's a great relief. And he really, and in Denmark, it's all very well planned. I mean, you got all the services are very well planned the way they're installed, unlike in the UK, which is higgly-piggly. Miriam Yance, who's actually here right now, she'll be doing more of a Q&A. She's been doing a lot of she's a sort of a life coach, clairvoyant, and she's very good at, she's got her own YouTube channel, and she's got thousands of views. 30 or whatever it is, that 1,000 views, and she's very good at reading and picking up on things. So we got some very perceptive women here. And then we have Penny Bradley by Zoom. We're having her more at the end of the day because of the time zones. I think she's 6 hours different. And she's secret space program stuff, and she's got a special presentation prepared for that. So on that day, we hope to have Sean Bond and Aisha from the United States, Dr. Amir Jahangiri, who's Iranian but of Irish extraction, Thomas Jensen, Mikey Jensen is from Denmark, and Miriam Yance is from Holland, or rather the Netherlands. And then Penny Bradley is via Zoom, but she's from the United States and is a long-term secret space program experiencer. Been there, done it, flown the ships, and she's a no-nonsense lady.
I just want to mention about Penny Bradley. I mean, she's no stranger to this channel. She's amazing. I mean, she really is. Penny is very special in terms of just her experiences, what she's been through, you know. And the way she articulates her story is very good. There we go, BASES2026.org. So all you people out there, you guys go and get your bum on a seat. Absolutely. That'll be
hopefully
very cool.
that QR code will work. Just click on that and it should bring you to the tickets. Okay, so that's the Saturday. And then on Sunday, we have Selena Stenberg, who I've just talked about. And then we're having a wonderful Laura Eisenhower.
Oh, nice.
She's been in Germany with Brad Olson at a very important UFO conference in Germany only a couple of weeks ago. And she's brilliant. I have to say that Laura Eisenhower and another experiencer, Susan Long, those are two women that when they want to have a good time, they will have a good time. And anybody who doesn't want to have a good time, get out of the way. So
I like
Laura is a third generation relative of the Eisenhower family, obviously not directly of the president, but she has got very, very well connected contacts. And essentially, she's going to be explaining how the Germans had Warp 1 technology in the 1920s. Now, maybe 1926, 28 or something, but that technology was available for them to do warp speed out of the solar system. You then got a great guy called Bob Osborne, who's now completed his book of his life. Now, Bob Osborne is a rebel not taken, and his ancestors were survivors of the Monmouth Rebellion, which was put down by the Churchill soldiers of not Winston Churchill. Obviously, I think we're dealing with 2 or 3 centuries before, at least 2 centuries ago. The Monmouth Rebellion was a very serious rebellion against the government of the day. And those who were taken were hung, drawn, and quartered and left in bits hanging off the fences and things on the way up to Parliament. There was brutally suppressed and literally hung, drawn, and quartered. However, those who weren't hung, drawn, and quartered, who were subsequently discovered, were then designated rebel not taken. And that was a legal term, and they had to basically scarper and leave the country. So that's where Bob Osborne's website is, Rebel Not Taken, and he has been dealing with James Casbolt, who's been coming back as he sort of recovers back into his free years now after so long in jail. So Bob Osborne won't be doing a presentation. He'll be doing more of a question and answer. Now, we've got another team, this team of people. This is there were 12 experiencers here in England, really just round the corner from where we are in Avebury. And I keep calling it Bicester. It's not, it's Bester, I think it is. I call it Bicester. But I think they just call it Bester. Now that has military bases, that has old military bases around it, and that's not too far from Avebury. So this general region of Wiltshire and I think South Gloucestershire, I need to be corrected about that, but Bester, and there's a lot of military bases all around there. There's it was good fun last week. I was driving with Maria Wheatley and decided just to take a road, whatever. We were meant to be finding something, but we didn't find it. But we did end up driving past, taking the road on the very flat land area. It's very prone to flooding and things. It's where you very, very flat. It's ideal for air bases. So we drove along the perimeter fence of the runway, and you had these massive big, oh my God, I can't, B-52s. Big, you've got to see these planes. They're absolutely fantastic. You got 4 B-52s just sitting there.
Wow.
And I mean, they are big planes. I mean, there are bigger aircraft in today's line, but you're dealing with something that was built way back 1953 or 4, whatever it is. But they've got 8 engines of fantastic. I mean, these are bombers. They're going to kill people. Going to bomb. So anyway, it was still a thrill to see those things.
Wow.
I think it's when you go get that era of aircraft. You've got the Vulcan bomber, subsonic planes. The Vulcan bomber, fantastic. To see one of those fly, it's just fantastic. The amount of the creativity and beauty of those airplanes are fantastic. Anyway, we saw that. Now, where are we going here? The point about Phil Graham and his team, for over 10 to 15 years, they were having repeated encounters with interdimensional ETs. They were having repeated contact with several different types of gray and another type of ET with sort of like an octopus face, as in the movie Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, I didn't realize that the movie about Pirates of the Caribbean, the legend or book, I don't know whether it's fiction or what, but that they're all dead. They're from another dimension. So these people have been encountering from the other realms multiple contacts with greys and other beings in the Avebury, West Kent Long Barrow, Chair Hill, Yatesbury, crop circle country. We're dealing with Avebury, Silbury Hill, West Kennet Longbarrow, which has an interdimensional gate in it. East Kennet Longbarrow also has that, but the owner of the land there's never let anybody access his land to see what's actually operating at East Kennet Longbarrow. And this is at the source, basically, of the River Kennet. And it's also where Avebury is. And these people have had multiple contacts with these beings for over 10 to 15 years. And then they discovered, which is what led to the breakup of the group, two of those members, at least two of those members, are going to be giving an account of their experience. So this is multiple ETs from interdimensional realms under repeated conditions for a decade plus in the Avebury, Avebury, West Kennet Longbarrow, Silbury Hill area for decades, or for at least, I mean, the way that they've explained the dealings with these beings, then they realized that these beings were lying to them. And the last time I was able to speak to Phil and a couple of his people was about 3.5 years ago. So Phil has turned up now after quite a gap, and he is going to be there with his team talking about all this stuff. So this is direct interdimensional ET contact with greys and other beings right here in Wiltshire over a long period of time.
Amazing.
I'm going to finish that with Beverly Rhodes, who is in the United States. She's over there permanently at the moment, or and when you're doing a green card thing, you've got to you do what you're told. So
yeah, you're not allowed to move out for a while and stuff like that.
Yeah. So she's not moving out. So she's over there as opposed to over here. And Beverly's got a hell of, and you, of course, you know Beverly very well.
Yeah, of course. No stranger to this channel.
Yes, that's why I first met her on your channel. You did a fine job there. Now, the other thing we're going to do, we're going to have a go here to try.
Hang on, is Beverly staying with Beverly? Is Beverly going to be talking on Zoom?
Beverly will be on Zoom. So Beverly and Penny are on Zoom, and we hope that's
Beverly's presentation is going to be about.
Don't know. We're going to have a talk about that.
Okay, but she'll be there. Nice. Yeah, I'm happy for that.
Because it's at the end of the day. That's Beverly and Penny are at the end of the day for that. And then on the Monday, we're going to have a whole day of workshops, and we're going to have to see how that's going to work out. Other conferences have managed to do post conference workshops, and we'll have to see if we can do that. And that's going to be at the Devices Rugby Club on the Monday all day. And then we're going to do the basis. Now, when was the last time we talked? Did I talk about Dusty, a lady called Dusky Edwards?
It sounds familiar, but please.
Well, Dusky Edwards, there's a lot of people dying on us here. Dusky Edwards is a larger-than-life lady, highly perceptive. And she knew all the stuff that other people like Julie Phelps had noted about what is a military base, what's a civilian base, and what's likely to be underneath that when you open that cover up. And actually on Saturday, we ended up, me and Miriam, we ended up being on top of a major facility on White Sheet Hill in West Wiltshire. And you can see at the height of that, we were actually able to drive the whole way up. You could see how these hills and how these manor houses are connected. You could see the landscape, and that's where the windmill is, where that's got a connection with something. You know, remember I mentioned about this. Anyway, the point is that Dusky Edwards had sussed that where the sunflower crop circle at Pottern, which was 2023, what was underneath there were greys. She actually picked up on greys in the field in broad daylight. Now, this is not too far from Silbury Hill. Pottern isn't that far. It's just up the road. So we have got a lot of greys and different types of ETs hanging about this place.
Absolutely.
The
Wow.
point about this was that that's what she picked up. And independently, I knew somebody who knew that there were greys underneath that hill. It's a wonderful. Pottern is literally just down the road here. It goes very steeply down the escarpment, and there's a beautiful hill which is prime agricultural land, and there's a solitary oak tree on it at the very top. It's just a wonderful sight. And then we're going to put solar cells on this. Now, the point is that I've worked out that the vast majority of solar panels in the middle of nowhere don't have any high voltage power lines leaving them. So how do they feed that power into the national grid? I'm saying they don't feed it into the national grid. They feed it as backup power or battery power availability in a big base just underneath.
Wow.
And that's not a coincidence that they were going to put solar panels on that. So they were putting backup power, because if we lose the grid, these bases are going to need power. So they're preparing for major loss of electricity national grid, and these bases need backup power. So that's why they were going to put solar panels on that hill at Pottern, because there's a big mother effing base underneath there, and it's going to need backup power from solar panels. And it didn't happen. The local community freaked out and stopped it, but they didn't know why they had the panels there. There are various other bases here which have been former RAF bases with big runways, and those bases are full of solar panels. Now, what in an abandoned aerodrome, why do you fill the runways with solar panels?
Right.
If there's nothing there. It's not supplying anything to the local town or anything. None of these panels are supplying anything to anybody.
But they're just
with houses, if you have a battery backup, that is going to be charging a whole batch of batteries, which cost a bloody fortune, £1,000 a stack.
Right.
So if you got 5, 6, 7, or 8 battery stacks, you're immediately talking £6,000 or £7,000 just for the batteries.
That's wild, and it makes so much sense. You know what you're saying with the solar power panels on the runway. I mean, what are they charging? We have to realize there's a lot of stuff going on.
There's a big base right underneath that is active, and they're using it for backup power in the event of what they expect to be major power losses due to solar flares.
What's your take on what's his name, Keir Starmer, the current Prime Minister of the UK? What's your take on him?
Crook. He's a complete crook. There's a record on him as being an asset for Czech intelligence, Czechoslovakian intelligence in the days of the Cold War.
Cold War. It's very interesting. I actually saw something the other day where the citizens of the UK were like literally standing up and saying no more. And he made this speech that it was racist. And then the commentator, and which was very interesting for me, had quite an interesting take, because, I mean, that had nothing to do with racism. It had nothing to do with racism. It's against the government. And yeah, the government gaslights you into telling you now to do a rally like that, you're racist, and it's like, that's the hell we're living in, is that our own humanity is being turned on each other, and calling each other, accusing each other, calling each other, whatever you want to call it, disgraceful names and things, all in the name of gaslighting.
Well,
because that,
the point is, this is the wipeout of humanity. All of these policies are anti-organic life.
yeah, exactly.
The net carbon zero thing. I mean, we have a situation here in the UK where the energy secretary is hell bent on carbon zero, which means it doesn't matter if people can't afford it, then they die. It's better to have a dead population than a population who are going to be carbon dioxide emitters. The whole situation is we now have a situation where, due to the United Kingdom being involved with the raids using drones attacking Moscow, the city of Moscow has been under attack with drones, with information from this country, targeting information from this country. The factories, some of the factories are here. They're here, and they've all been identified in Finland and other places. One of the smaller European countries, I don't know the exact term, on the Baltic states, that was used to launch them because it was closest to Moscow. Russia has made a Russian, shall we say, well-informed Russian opinion formers have made a statement which is backed by a vast majority of the Russians now. The Russians have had enough. There have been multiple red lines crossed, and the statement is now that Russia does not want anything, not 1 inch of Europe. They've had their experience with Western Europe. The first one was Napoleon. He invaded Russia. Then World War I, World War II. They've had enough of their involvement with Europe. They don't want to have anything to do with it. Europe is determined to destroy Russia. And that's what Lucy Wyatt will be talking about on the Friday night. As a consequence to that, they've made a statement that they will use conventional weapons to destroy those factories which have been building so we're looking at incoming in Britain, incoming in places like Finland and other European countries. The country that launched them is going to be sacrificed. This is the way the EU works. We don't care about this small country. You're gone. And if the Russians nuke you, we don't care. The industrial might of the German countries has collapsed. They have now made statements which they're now going to fully militarize, and they want to have a full-scale invading force by 2029. So this is imminent nuclear war here, because the powers that be will not. They'll say, well, we told you that Russia was going to do this. So when they use conventional weapons against those factories manufacturing these drones, these politicians who have no experience of war and no experience and actual in their blood feeling of what happened in World War II, they are sacrificing the genocidal sacrifice of the people of Ukraine. They don't give a damn about. More and more of those poor people are being wiped out in the most dreadful means, and now we can expect incoming weapons into Western Europe. Everybody else in the world doesn't give a damn about Western Europe. They're getting on fine. Western Europe, run by the EU, is finished.
I agree.
It's by those creatures who have taken control.
Yeah.
The people of Western Europe are finished.
They've sucked it dry. I agree.
Planned genocide of the Western European peoples. So all of those people who've been rounded up to come to Western Europe as a infiltration force and army to wipe the Western Europeans out, they're expendable too. Nobody gets off on this. The countries those people came from, extracting their alpha males to be slaughtered in Europe, one way or another, with nuclear war or with the expected ice that's coming. The ice that's been here has been very severe. So much negative, so much ice energy, coldness. My brand new car battery was practically flat again. People's car batteries are going flat. That's because of some kind of electric field sucking energy out of this environment. That's a classic use of energetics, scalar energetics, weaponized weather warfare, where you take the energy of a zone and suck it out. And if you do that from an electric field point of view, your batteries won't start your car. That's an indication of that. And this is incoming and in plain sight. And I'm raising the alarm on that. Apart from that, everything's fine.
Well, I mean, you know, we had our recent storms and floods, and the second power, because we had 3.5 days, 3.5 days off, 2 days on. The second 6.5 day power outage started at 9:11 on Monday morning. And I want to tell you guys,
they're laughing at us.
This is historically one of the greatest floods and damage in this area ever. I was sitting here, the trees were flat. I cannot tell you what, and then my neighbor's trees were coming down. And it's like, I'm like, it's a different kind of experience that.
But Chantal, this is all predicted by Professor Valentina Zarkova on the Maunder minimum, with the changing of the changing of the north south magnetic poles. We've got a lot less protection from the massively increasing radiation from the sun. The UV light levels are going up. The energy in blue light's going up, which is why the evenings are not red. They're sort of like a pink color, more blue light. This is all within the Maunder minimum differences that are planned, or not planned, but it means that the jet streams, instead of going parallel round, they start oscillating. So you have warm air going north and freezing air coming south, and that is going to get much more unstable. And that's what was happening here only a few days ago. Ice cold winds dropping the temperature to less than 3 degrees Celsius. A lot more of that's going to happen, especially with the loss of the magnetic field protection down by 25% in the Atlantic regions, north and south.
But I think the more the fake grids get destroyed in these natural disasters, the more the organic grids are going to start reactivating. So I think it's part of the distraction has been to create, let's say, their direct energy weapons, for want of a better word, whether it's personal or weather or whatever it might be, that is being created by them with the intention to weaken the natural God-given energies that exist freely on this earth. So the more their stuff gets destroyed, because here in my area, for those of you who haven't watched my show, watch my shows with Beverly Rhodes as well. We spoke a lot about what happens in this area, right? And Jesse Zabota, we did a decode on the Karoo not too long ago. This is the area.
What does that mean? Explain that to somebody like
this. This area is chief child transportation land. So there's a lot of the guys that run and control. You know, when you hear about the African people screaming about wanting their land back, it's not people like me that own the land. It's guys like Johann Rupert, the Saudis. Do you know how much land this country is owned by Saudis? So 80% of the land in this country is still owned by Europeans. This is why the African people are pissed off. But it's not by the person on the street who they think is now often a target for. It's the powerful, and they orchestrate it that way. Johann Rupert has been running this country since the beginning, or the Rupert family, right? And there's stuff I want to say, but I'll probably get myself into trouble about what I've heard.
I have good news, though.
Yeah.
The intelligence, energetic intelligence, fundamental to our fundamental biology here, is going to be attacking the data centers.
But that's what's happening now.
Data centers are going to find that they're going to have problems.
That's definitely what's happening now. I firmly believe, and I've said this publicly, what's happening here is the collapse of the old grid, and it's literally the reactivation of the new. And it's starting, and anything that has to collapse, unfortunately, there's going to be collateral damage. And it's very mortifying for me to see animals and how they get washed down these rivers screaming, and these massive trees, hundreds of years old, that are just, this was so bad. It was so hectic. And understanding, I'm in Africa, the most southern tip of Africa. We have to understand that the placement, right? And why they've used South Africa as the gateway for the New World Order, and why they've used us for the longest times as guinea pigs. Why the British Crown has come here and colonized this continent from the beginning. It was not the Hollanders that created apartheid. That's bullshit. That's a psyop. It was the British Crown.
Well, Mandela was a MI6 asset. Let's put it that way.
Yes, he was. He's part of he's an Oppenheimer.
When they needed to get rid of him, they announced he was dead. And then they said, oh dear, well, we actually don't want him dead. So they had to announce he was alive again, which is where this Mandela effect thing comes forward.
Yeah, that is the Mandela.
You see, the thing about it is that you only die on a Saturday before Christmas if you're important. If you're not important, you don't officially die, right? And if you have died, they keep you in the papers for, it's like whatever, until you're not useful anymore. Anyway, there it is. Have a nice day.
Well, you just out of here. Just like that.
Yeah. Gotta go.
Okay. All right. Well, Miles, it's always fun having you. Let's see if we can entice you back next week, same time, same place.
I'm not saying a lot of this stuff. This is stuff that researchers have just interviewed somebody and another person. They're saying it. These are external observers who have a good eye on things. And to close up, one way that they were infiltrating, they can infiltrate your computer system, is get into a photograph, right? So when I'd be interviewing somebody in Norway or somewhere, or just taking pictures down the road here on a popular tourist place where they have the locks, the brace of locks, a wonderful race of locks. Once they get into your photograph, that you put that photograph onto your computer to edit it, but they've got a pathway inside the memory of your computer. So they can energetically occupy that and cause trouble inside your computer. Well, that works both ways, people. That works both ways for those listening. It works both ways.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Miles. Okie dokie, Mr. Schmokey. Well, in that case, we shall bid you a farewell. And as I was saying earlier on, maybe next week, same time, same place, I can entice you.
See, the main thing is BASES2026.org. You get all the information on that. I'm also on a new radio station called Food for Thought Radio. I'm on that every Tuesday from 9 p.m. British Summer Time until 11 p.m. British Summer Time. Food for Thought Radio. It's a whole new thing we're trying to get going here. And I've been very honored to be asked to host a show on that, as opposed to be on a show. So anyway, there it is. Exciting news.
Very cool. Well, I wish you luck. And any of you out there in the UK and in Miles' area, please go grab yourself a seat on the bum, a chair, so you can have a seat on the bum.
Sorry, I've got to finish this. I don't think I said, to make it clear, Dusky Edwards died seconds after her wedding, Saturday, 2 weeks ago. The ink wasn't even dry when she'd signed off. She had a stroke and was dead within 36 hours. She was taken out on her wedding day. Now, whether she had to go elsewhere and do other things. But, you know, you've known somebody for 25 years, you then finally marry them, and then the second the ceremony's over and the signatures on the certificate, gone. She was a damn
Wow.
fine lady, and as I say, she was a woman who picked up on the greys at the Pottern crops. There was a sunflower crop circle at Pottern in 2023, and she picked up when we went there that there were greys there. So there it is. She's now gone. Another person has gone. Okay. On that, I needed to complete that because I don't think I actually mentioned that, but that's
No,
not.
you didn't.
Going to her funeral 3rd of June. It's a big loss for the community in this.
I'm sorry to hear that, yeah.
Most people have never heard of her, but well, she's gone. Bingo, like that. Okay, bye-bye.
You know what's interesting? What's interesting as well, and I won't mention names, but in the last 2 months, 2 of my good friends have both lost their husbands. And it's been, these are good guys. These are good guys, like really awakened guys. I'm just finding that interesting because I'm seeing that quite a bit as well, especially with men at the moment.
Well, her husband is saying she was needed elsewhere, but I mean, what else are you going to say on your wedding day?
I do believe that's true as well. You know, I do believe on a grander scheme of things that is true. However,
well, in the pirate business, when we had the pirate business, it wasn't a business. It was a wonderful era of creative broadcasting. People would go, and we knew, or I had a strong feeling they were being taken because we were needed on the other side. So, okay, that's it. Must go.
Well, when in spirit form, you can actually assist from the more greater scheme of things much better than in a physical body. So I've experienced that most definitely. You all know my fiance was killed in a hijacking. And let me tell you something. When you allow spirit to work with you at times like that, God opens the doors.
Likewise, a lot of the people we did in the crop circle, in the pirate radio business were what I call bounce backs. They died and come back.
Yeah.
There's a few of those, but gotta go.
Okay, have fun. I'll see you maybe next week.
Yeah, we'll see how things go. I'm still trying to get this arm above certain heights, so I've got to do that. Okay, bye. Fading out. Bye.
Bye. Bye. I'll remove you.
Oh.
Well, you never know what to expect with an Irishman as a guest. So, yeah, he's in a hurry. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today again. You got nowhere to go. Sorry. Right? That can only be the Irishman. How funny. Well, if you haven't already, and if you're somewhere in the UK and you can get to Miles's conference, I really think it's a great thing if we can support these. I know that if I was there, I'd certainly be putting my bum in one of those seats, and I'd be hauling all of you along by the ears and say, "Come, we're going." Make a weekend of it. So yeah, if you can, I think the more of us who support these, especially the conferences, guys, if you can, that'll be amazing. So on that note, I'm going to wish you farewell, and I will see you tomorrow with Asia Rain at 6 o'clock, South African time, Central African time, cat time. And remember, just after this at 6 o'clock, hour and a half from now, the recording from Simone Anderson last week. And I keep wanting to think of the title, what we spoke about last week, because I'm getting mixed up with this week as well. We've got another show on Wednesday. But yeah, grab that. That is absolutely incredible. She is so knowledgeable on what's been going on and really has a beautiful outlook. So yeah, let's support. And yeah, the whistleblowers, the ones doing uncomfortable disclosures, and those who are creating a platform for those to do the uncomfortable disclosures. It's a hectic time at the moment, we all know. And I tell you what, I was saying, I have no doubt that the garden route was hit. As I was saying, this is prime holiday area on this continent, and it is prime child transportation area. I believe these guys, we activating the grid for sure. These guys are fighting back, but in the meantime, they're destroying their own grid. So let's all just realize that this is just how we move together as one, actually. So on that note, I wish you well. And remember, nothing is as it seems, right? Nothing is as it seems. So always just keep your mind open a little bit further to see if there could be something deeper in it for you to get and you to understand. Spiritual warfare, that's what we got to look. Use your third eye. Time to discern. That's why we have a third eye. And on that note, God bless you all. Take good care of your beautiful selves, and I'll see you tomorrow.